Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah McNeely and I teach people how to go vegan and make it a sustainable lifestyle and have some fun while you're doing it and not make it so stressful, which I know it can be if you're transitioning for the first time. I have been vegan since 2006 with some ups and some downs in the beginning, and now I'm just absolutely obsessed with this lifestyle and I've dedicated my time to sharing about it online, and I'm just really grateful for it every day because it has transformed my life and I can't imagine who I would be or where I would be if I weren't vegan. Let's just jump right in. Let's do 5 mistakes you're making on a vegan diet. I think this will probably touch some buttons, and you know what? If it does, that's okay. I'm okay with it. Leave your comment, I can handle it. Let's start with the number 1. First mistake is trying to be perfect. I see this all the time. This was me for sure. And this can look so many different ways. So let's address something first. Perfection does not exist anywhere, in anyone, in anything. And it is such a freeing thought to know that perfection isn't even an attainable goal at all. So let's address perfection and just like the compassionate, ethical side of veganism first. We can do our best, but perfection isn't the goal. Veganism isn't even the goal, because people think veganism is just like this perfect sort of idyllic or idealistic life or lifestyle, or this idealistic pursuit. And the truth is, I love the way Colleen Patrick Goudreau says it. She's my girl. She has been such an influential vegan figure in my life, and she's an amazing podcast. You should check her out. Compassion is the goal. Veganism is just how we get there, and it's just a means, and all we're doing is just redirecting, recalibrating every day towards compassion. So what that means is we cannot live this perfect life where we cause no harm to anyone or any creature ever. It just doesn't happen. And often perfectionism is what stops us from starting in the first place. So if you're trying to go vegan but you're just worried that you're not perfect, like, well, I would go vegan except for I have dinner with my grandmother every Tuesday and she makes me chicken parmesan. Well, why don't you go vegan except for every Tuesday? Just an idea. And then a big one is just like perfectionism in diet and nutrition. A perfect diet does not exist. I hate to break it to you. There's no such thing. Even, the diet that I promote and I eat, I think I'm pretty clear. Like, I'm not promoting like one specific way of eating, because there is no perfect diet for everyone, right? Like, we're just trying to eliminate harm from animals, and guess what? Our health benefits from it too, and not to mention the environment. The perfectionism in diet can cause just so much unnecessary heartache when it comes to knowing what to eat, which is why I talk about this a lot in my Vegan for Good course. Knowing what to eat is huge. I mean, we do have to educate ourselves on nutrition, inform ourselves what it means to eat well, what are whole foods, how do we balance our plate. Nutritional science can be incredibly conflicting and confusing, and so there is an element of having to inform yourselves a bit on, how to eat well. However, don't be perfect. Like, you just can't be, and there's no need, and I actually find there's a lot more benefit into being a bit more relaxed about diet and, just achieving perfectionism. I have been there. That's why I'm laughing. I have been there, believe me. And what I'm actually going to ask you to do, and I know you're going to hate me for this, is just to look inward for a second, because I have learned so much about perfectionism in myself and how this was affecting so many areas of my life, mainly sleep. I was really struggling with sleep, and I didn't realize it's because I had a self-worth issue. I thought that I had to be perfect in order to be valuable, and I think many people don't realize that they have a self-worth issue, and they're using perfectionism as a way to cope with, a self-worth issue that they've been struggling with their whole lives and maybe haven't realized. So I would look inward, do some processing, do some self-analysis, and why am I obsessed with perfection? And even if you don't see yourself as a perfectionist, take stock A perfectionist doesn't necessarily mean you're a neat freak or that you want things to be in a nice, tidy row. It could just mean that you think you have to, do all the chores perfectly and make your bed and everything has to be perfect and you have to follow this thing. And if you aren't, doing all your healthy habits every day, then all of a sudden you aren't worthy. What? Mistake number 2, not continually educating yourself and informing yourself on what's going on in the world related to veganism. So this can be environment, nutrition, animals, ethics, all of that. And the reason is manifold. First of all, there are so many exciting things happening in plant-based nutrition, and the ex-vegans, the anti-vegans out there are very loud on the internet. I don't know if you've noticed, they're in my comment section. And if you are uninformed about what's going on in scientific research and nutritional science and the hierarchy of research, and if you aren't just have a basic understanding of what's going on by listening to the credible people, not anonymous randos in the comment section, then you're going to be easily swayed and you're going to be confused and you're going to second guess your whole lifestyle decision. Not to mention, you are going to lose your vigor, lose your passion that you once had when you went vegan initially. Continue to surround yourself with those free podcast interviews with plant-based doctors who are so passionate and knowledgeable and credible about this lifestyle and rational and reasonable. Someone can be passionate as well as calm and steadfast and thinking about things reasonably and not just so emotionally. And when we surround ourselves with those podcast interviews, every day, every week, listening to them, or books if you're more of a reader, we're constantly going to be reminded of why we are vegan and why this is the optimal diet for our health. We live in this world that doesn't openly support our vegan lifestyle. Let's be honest with ourselves. Whether we're at the gas station and there's like this Snickers display right there, or you're at your family event and everyone's trying to get you to eat the egg salad, whatever it is, we chose this sort of alternative lifestyle, and I personally feel very convicted in it, and I'm sure you do too, or you at one time did. And we have to remind ourselves of why we're doing this. Especially go back to the animal footage. I know it's really hard to watch, but it is essential to watch that stuff. It is essential to know if you've lost that passion. Go back to the animal footage. Go back to seeing what is actually happening when you pay someone to kill animals. Mistake number 3, stress around food. A lot of people go vegan and there's this sort of stress around what I eat, around diet. This kind of goes back to the perfectionism thing, but bear with me for a second. Understandably, in the beginning, there's gonna be a lot of sort of obsession about what we're eating because it's an entirely new shift going from eating the standard way, the status quo, to all of a sudden you're taking the animal foods off your plate and you're sort of confused about what to eat and you're like fiddling with things and you can't figure it out. But at some point, once you've got it figured out, you really gotta stop stressing about food. I would argue for the entire transition we shouldn't be stressing about food, but I think that requires quite a bit of guidance and some hand-holding. Stressing about food is so the opposite of what we want to do. What we want to do is eat our food with joy, eat our food with delight, and truly enjoy what we're eating at every meal. I think especially when people go vegan for health reasons and they start to learn about plant-based nutrition, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear about foods, and then the fear kind of gets into, fear about fats and fear about oils and fear about processed foods and fear about all these things. And the truth is, fear is not sustainable. Fear can motivate you, sure, but it's not gonna keep you going in a joyful and loving, energetic, vitality-infused way. Fear is rather draining and stressful. And guess what? It ain't good for your body. When you're stressed, I don't need to go into it, right? We know how harmful stress is to our body. So why are we stressing about food? Relax. Not only can a fear-based diet situation or a stressful diet situation create disordered eating, which is another conversation, it's also going to disrupt any peace that you might have in your gut and microbiome, especially at meal times. But also throughout the day. Stress only causes more harm, to be honest. Stress doesn't help. And we know this, right? We know this. If I go, hey, don't stress, you're like, now I'm stressed but not feeling stressed. I get it. But rather than telling yourself what not to do, focus on what to do, such as feel joy, enjoy my day, laugh with my friends, live with purpose in my life. Because all your subconscious knows when you say don't stress, your subconscious doesn't hear the word don't. It just hears the word stress. And so it's gonna start focusing on stress, and it starts finding stress. Rather, replace that with do joy today. Let's do joy. Let's do happiness. Let's do peace. So a lot of people go vegan, they're feeling stressed, they're feeling confused. The transition can be a challenge for some, especially if they're doing it sort of like piecemealing advice and like not finding like true guidance from an expert. And I get it, it's this huge adjustment to your life. But then you're inadvertently causing harm to your health because of the stress. It's so weird. and it can start affecting the quality of your sleep, and we know how important sleep is, good quality sleep. Okay, so here's the solution. Be easy on yourself, zoom out, and just see yourself spinning on this blue dot, which is such a miracle, by the way. You know, life is a miracle. And you have this incredible privilege to choose to eat plants exclusively. Not everyone has that privilege. You have this wonderful privilege to do that. Zoom out, right? See that perspective and feel grateful. Gratitude is everything. If you are feeling grateful in the moment, just watch your stress melt away. Another thing too, especially if you're in the beginning stages of being vegan and that's why you found this video, you're like, what are the mistakes that I'm making? And you start feeling stressed about the mistakes you're making. Maybe your transition was a little too abrupt and maybe you should have eased into it a little bit more. I know that it's especially important for someone who's like dealing with gut issues. Easing into a plant-based diet is the best way to give yourself that fortitude and give yourself that time to adjust. Also, if you're feeling stressed because you're like, what the F do I eat for plant-based nutrition? Get some guidance from an expert, get some books, get some podcasts, and start informing yourself rather than just sort of meandering your way through. Okay, mistake number 4. This is for vegans in all stages. Isolating yourself from friends and family. This one might be a little controversial, might step on some toes. This is my personal opinion from my personal experience. Holy moly, guys, stop being so freaking judgmental and high and mighty. You are not better than anyone because you're choosing a vegan lifestyle, okay? Remember where you were before you went vegan. You didn't always think this way. Almost none of us were raised vegan. It's pretty rare to find someone who's raised vegan and continued conviction in that lifestyle. So now that you've, made this amazing change to your life and you've experienced all these huge benefits, in your mental state, in your health, everything, it is not your place to judge. And it is not your place to pull away from your family. I know some people really struggle with, communing together when there's body products on the table. I get it. It's uncomfortable for me too. Personally, I have made the choice to still eat with my family when there are body parts and animal products, body parts and things that have come out of those bodies. That's really what it is. It's gross, right? It's on the table. It's sad. I don't like it, but I think it's more important to show love and acceptance to everyone. That is what it means to be vegan, right? To show compassion to everyone rather than, making myself out to be this sort of like perfect royal creature who does better than everyone, like so judgmental, right? Listen, I think there is something to say. There is very important to find your tribe. It's important to find those other vegans and connect. It's just easier sometimes, when you are all on the same page, whether it's about veganism, politics, religion. It is easier when you have your little groups and you can talk about things and you connect. But your family is your family, okay? Don't let veganism disrupt what you have, and with your friends too. I know it's hard. I have been there. Really, I have had struggles with some of my loved ones, but it was me. It was me sort of pushing them away. It was me not exercising true compassion. And the reason was when I first became an ethical vegan, it's like this veil was lifted and I was like, what? I just had no idea what was going on with the animals, and it felt like my whole world just flipped inside out, and I was angry and I was going through all these emotions, and therefore it was a struggle with some relationships for a couple of years. I really encourage you to keep those bonds, okay? Work on those relationships and work on yourself, and you are not better than them just because you're vegan. Solution: be lighthearted, be confident. Be very confident in who you are and your lifestyle choices, but be joyful and be accepting and be humble. Mistake number 5 is eliminating all of these other plant food groups permanently. Now, this is a gut health one. First and foremost, I really encourage you to check out Dr. Will Bulsiewicz. He wrote the book Fiber Fueled, and then he just came out with his follow-up book, the Fiber Fueled Cookbook, which is so much more than just a cookbook. This is all about gut issues. If you are experiencing gut issues at all, please check out both of these books. The second one, the one that just came out in particular, is really specifically guiding you through food intolerances and how to build your gut and strengthen your gut. Listen, your gut is really, this is what I've learned from Dr. Bulsiewicz, okay? Your gut is like a muscle. If you decide that you want to lift 300 pounds, you're not going to go to the gym and lift 300 pounds immediately. You're going to slowly build up to it. The same is with your gut and fiber. Fiber is so essential for the health of your microbiome. And if you all of a sudden start eating this amazing plant-based diet and you're just loaded up on the kale and all of a sudden you're like, I do not do well on fiber, it's because you need to build the strength of your gut. Another wonderful analogy that Dr. B has given is, imagine you hurt your knee. You have two options. You can either stop walking so that you don't feel the pain in your knee, or you can slowly rehab the knee so that you can start walking again. The stopping walking is analogous to permanently taking out the foods that you think are causing you harm. Or you can slowly incorporate the foods back in to build the strength up and start walking again, which is analogous to eating an abundant plant-based lifestyle. Permanently eliminating giant food groups like grains and beans. This is detrimental to our health because our gut depends on all of the different kinds of fiber that are available to us in the plant world. Because many people have food intolerances, sometimes temporary elimination of those foods is necessary. And we just have to know that it's necessary and you can bring it back in, and that is what the Fiber Fueled Cookbook is all about. Dr. B is amazing. I highly recommend his books. But yeah, I think a lot of people go vegan and they start just like eating this like really extreme diet where they're eliminating all this. I was there. I experimented. Trust me, I was there. But now I'm eating in such an abundant way and it is so much better. I'm so glad I can eat bread. All right, that's it for me. If you want to follow along, please subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram as well. And if you are interested in bringing your journey deeper and really getting some guidance from someone who has made all the mistakes and doesn't want you to make those mistakes in your own transition, go check out my Vegan for Good course. I will leave the link below.
Because I know you want to go deeper and learn more, I have to tell you about my sister's podcast. It's the Ellen Fisher podcast. You have to check it out. And she just did an episode with my friend and one of my favorite podcasters ever, Colleen Patrick Goudreau. It's called How to Stop Being Vegan. Every vegan, wannabe vegan, ex-vegan should listen to this episode. And while we're on the topic of podcasts, have you listened to all of the amazing experts, the plant-based doctors on the Rich Roll podcast? Amazing sources of information for free. You can also check out the Plant Proof podcast with Simon Hill. These are wonderful resources to learn more and dive deeper in plant-based nutrition. And now a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Squarespace, my favorite website building platform that takes you from A to Z in the website building process without ever hiring a designer. Connect with your audience and generate revenue through gated, members-only content, manage your members, send email communications, and leverage audience insights all in one easy-to-use platform. Create a community on your Squarespace website with a fully integrated commenting system, use their powerful blogging tools, and manage inventory. Squarespace is my preferred platform because it's incredibly easy to use, fully integrated, and the result is a beautiful website you can call your own. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/HannahMcNeely to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.